No justice! No peace!
The past few days in America have been very crazy. They've been filled with protests, blackouts, some encouraging scenes, but sadly, even more police brutality is happening right now as well.
What do you want? Justice! When do you want it?
Luckily, in an effort to help guide us, former President Barack Obama actually wrote a blog post recently that's been viewed 5 million times on Medium about how we can change America and steps that we can take after these protests happen. And instead of add to the noise, I decided that I wanted to focus on concrete steps that we can all take after the protesting is done to make real change in America. So let's listen up. President Obama started off his blog post by directly attacking those who have resorted to violence in their protests. The small minority of folks who've resorted to violence in various forms, whether out of genuine anger or mere opportunism, are putting innocent people at risk, compounding the destruction of neighborhoods that are often already short on services and investment. And here's perhaps the most beautiful line of the whole article. If we want our criminal justice system and American society at large to operate on a higher ethical code, then we have to model that code ourselves. Well said, Mr. President. He also got into how much he disagrees with people who say that protests are the only way to incite real change in America, and that voting is a waste of time. Actually, the main point of this article is that voting in tandem with protests are the only things that can incite real change in a given country at any given time. The problem is, he says, that people focus way too much on the presidency and the federal government that they forget about the state government and the local government, which are the places that we need to focus on the most to see the most change in our law enforcement. He says, it's mayors and county executives that appoint most police chiefs and negotiate collective bargaining agreements with police unions. It's district attorneys and state attorneys that decide whether or not to investigate and ultimately charge those involved in police misconduct. So therefore, it's not really up to the people in the federal government. It's actually up to the people on the state and local level to, incite change in law enforcement in the United States. Unfortunately, voter turnout is very abysmal on the state and local level, especially among young people. The very people you see protesting out on the streets so much in the past couple weeks are the exact same people who could make the most change in America, and they need to right now. The truth is, if we want to see change in America, we can't just use hashtags and show up to protests and post on social media. The truth is, we need to vote. And lastly, people need to make specific requests for criminal justice reform. I've actually attached a link to a toolkit that the president created back when he was in office that can help us to understand the next steps that we could take in America to actually make real change. Honestly, I agree with everything that the president said in his blog post. I thought it was very insightful. I think that too often nowadays we think that posting on social media is enough and protesting is enough, and those are great things to do, but the engine to create real change in America is in voting. It has always been in voting, and it seems as if young people don't quite understand that that's the case. And so if we did understand that, and if more people showed up on the state and local levels to vote and to put people in charge, will not tolerate this sort of behavior, then maybe slowly but surely we could see change in America, a relevant change. And I hope that is what can happen. Anyway, thank you all for watching yet again. Time out.